to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Lorianne Casdia. Our goal here at Healthy Lifestyle is to inspire, educate, and empower you to fulfill a healthy, emotional, spiritual, and physical life so you can feel empowered to live the life you have always wanted and dreamed. Welcome to the show. I hope you're having a great day today. I know I am, and I'm excited about our guest today. As you know, I am a life and business transformational success coach and '1 international best-selling author, an award-winning inspirational speaker, and a humanitarian. And I love illuminating, educating, and inspiring, empowering, and igniting people to find and embrace their purpose and live their highest vision and forge a strong foundation so you too can soar to success. I am so excited about our guest today, Donna Tashjian. She is a founder of Vibrant Living International, a non-for-profit organization. She is a life mastery coach, an ordained minister, a podcaster, and a sister author. She helps bring accelerated transformation to people across the world. She empowers you to master life, spirit, soul, and body. A lot of symbolism there, a lot of synergy there with both of us. Donna has been speaking and coaching for over 25 years. She actually has developed powerful programs and workshops to help you through life's transition and pain to achieve your goals and dreams. And she also produces a podcast called You Were Designed for Greatness. Indeed, we all are, and has written 3 books. Her client says she has a knack for turning fear into excitement and exposing lies so the truth can shine through. Sister, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. We do have a lot of similarity, Lori. Thank you for having me here today. It's a pleasure.
Oh, it's absolutely a pleasure to have you on. I'm loving it. And I bring other coaches on just to give a little like twist and turn and different approaches and give our listeners an opportunity to find out what's out there. And you are unbelievably vibrant, like your website, iVibrantLiving.com. But I want to just jump in to just get our feet wet. And how do we live vibrantly?
The easiest way I know to is be authentic. Yeah. And that's a very easy statement. It's not always so easy to walk out, though. And learning how to embrace all of you to be able to be happy with you and live differently.
Yeah. Isn't it funny that living authentically is a challenge?
Yes, it is.
Because you expose yourself, right? You make yourself vulnerable when you are.
Authentic.
Yeah.
But the other thing that happens, and that I've noticed in my own life and my clients' life, is we have all these labels that have been placed on us, or we've accepted, or we've put on ourselves that have been trying to keep us safe. I do that in air quotes, but not necessarily does it help me be authentic.
Right.
One of the things, for example, in my own life, one of the things I always did when I was a child is I would make up plays so that I would be acting in it. Well, I had some things that happened to my life that made that, well, that's not safe. And then when I began to speak on stages and share with audiences, it was really hard to get rid of all of those labels that was put on me. And all of a sudden, one day I remember going, wow, when did I start having so much fun doing this? And learning how to get rid of those labels.
Well, let's back up. Let's unwind. Yes. A lot of the labels that are put on us from other people. Mm-hmm. And then we adopt those labels. So it becomes a belief of ours.
Yes.
What are beliefs? Thoughts that we think over and over again, right? So these are labels that other people put on us. I always called it when I was working in public sector that I was pigeonholed. I was put into this pigeonhole because if I was put in that box and that box was full and they didn't have to think about it anymore, they were like, no, we're going to leave her there, even though I had so much more to provide, give, and expansion and things like that. So sometimes we get pigeonholed, but I allowed it because I stayed in the little box for a while. And then I was like, hey, wait a minute, not happy in the box. So I got out of the box. But you have to be able to recognize that, right? So these labels that are put on us that we then adopt and put on ourselves, is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So these labels that we adopt are just that. And it's so funny that you said that is, I went through, we all do, especially as coaches, we go through transformations. I call them life pivots, right? So one very extraordinary life pivot was I didn't like who I was becoming because I was trying to be what everybody else wanted me to be, as opposed to just being who I am. And when I saw resistance to who I am, it got fearful. So I didn't show who I was. So what I did was I put a wall in front of me. And what I discovered later is that not only did I put this really large brick wall in front of me, but I had a moat in another wall. That's how far away I kept people from myself. And then I was perplexed why people just didn't get me. Well, they didn't get a chance to get near me because I was so protected. And that protection, actually, I was imprisoning myself by not being myself. And it wasn't fun. And one day I was just like, no more. I'm going to be who I am. Love me, don't love me, doesn't matter, for my good, bad, and ugly. Because we all have good, bad, and ugly, don't you think? Yeah. And is that what you're talking about? Living vibrantly, living, genuinely as yourself and taking the risk, being vulnerable.
Yes, it definitely does feel risky in the beginning.
Yeah.
But once, I know you can relate to this, once you get really beginning to live authentic, it's addictive. You don't want to do it any other way. And I know when people say, I'm in this box, and I'm like, well, who put you there?
Yeah.
And most of the time we did. Our own beliefs put us in the box for all kinds of good reasons at the time. And a lot of times we had to change some of our behavior depending upon what happened in our childhood, et cetera, to survive.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that we learn to survive that are no longer serving me to create who I want to be today and what I want to do today.
Yeah. And how cool is that? Is that we get to choose that every day. And a lot of people don't realize that. It's like, well, I'm stuck. Well, it's a choice. Stuck is a choice. And it's an okay choice if that's what you want to be. But we need to know and understand we have the option every single day. That's where that phrase, it's a new day, comes from. It's a new day. You could start it today. You can start it right now. You can start it in 5 minutes. Whatever you choose to do. Or if you want to be on that comfy couch, you could be on that comfy couch. My listeners hear me say this all the time. I'm more comfortable being uncomfortable now than I am being comfortable, because I know when I'm uncomfortable, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm finding new things, and it's exciting. When I'm comfortable, it's kind of boring for me. And I'm just like, no. I don't want to be comfortable. I want to, grow. I want to learn and experience things. Right. So that living vibrantly, living to who you are is a really important thing. How does stress affect this in our lives? How does that affect people living vibrantly?
Well, it's interesting that I think a lot of times stress is a choice as well. And because, let me just use the word overwhelm. That's a very common word when we're talking about adversity and things going wrong in our life, is feeling overwhelmed. And I remember the day that I was on a call with my coach, and I'm like, I am so overwhelmed. And it was one of those transformational moments that you were talking about. And it was a phone call, but I wanted, in essence, somebody to hug me and say, I know it's so hard. That's kind of what I felt like I needed and wanted. That's not what she did at all.
Yeah, sure. No, good for her.
No, she said, do you realize what you are believing when you're in overwhelm? And I'm like, what do you mean? I don't have a choice. It's just so much stress and all the stuff and and I'm on this, roll.
Sure. Hamster wheel. Yep.
And we've all been there.
Sure.
And she said, whenever you're in overwhelm, you're picturing the outcome to be bad. That somehow you're going to fail, you're going to mess up, you're not going to do good enough, you're not enough. All of that, you are actually believing you are going to fail before you've ever begun. Because that's what creates overwhelm. And it was like a jaw-dropping moment. I'm like, I have a choice.
Yes.
I can choose what I'm going to believe, because most likely, if I'm believing that at the beginning of the day, something's going to go wrong. Absolutely.
Well, yeah. If you start stubbing your toe at the beginning of the day going, oh, this is going to be a bad day, I guarantee you it will be a bad day. But if you stub your toe and go, okay, I stubbed my toe, let's move on. It is what it is, right?
And so learning that there are ways that we can learn to choose to let go of other people's expectations, to let go of expectations we've set on ourselves. What does failure mean to you? All of those kind of things, to be able to look for gifts in adversity and learn how to grow through them. So yes, stress has a lot to do with what I am believing about the circumstances. The way that I word it is emotions are indicators of what I believe about me or the world. It could be either.
Sure.
So if I am afraid, I'm believing something about me or the world. And it isn't to say they're good or bad. They're just indicators of what I'm believing. And it gives me clues to sometimes hidden beliefs that I'm not aware of, that getting a coach and talking through that, because I wouldn't have been able to see that on my own.
Sure. Well,
and learning how to work through that so that we can live vibrantly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's emotions are great because they tell you you're out of alignment with who you are. So if you're having those overwhelmed feelings or you're not going down that right path, you need to figure it out. Is it something from your past? Is it something current? Is it a belief that you have? We can change our beliefs like that. Again, it's just a thought we think over and over again. So moving that is all up to you. I've said that the difference between stuck and unstuck is just a belief of can. And it's only can or won't. There's no such thing as can't. Can't is really I won't do this. I won't change. I won't get unstuck. I'll stay in my little happy box, and you and I decided, we don't want to do that. Let's move on. Let's try something else. I love one of the things she said, and I'm going to point this out to our listeners, is that, and I say this all the time, and you just corroborated with it, is any good coach has a coach. So if you ever go to a coach, I always encourage our listeners to please make sure your coach has a coach, because if they don't, typically they're not coachable. And it's not a good fit when that happens. So I love that you said that you have a coach, and, I have coaches as well. And it's really important because it's like proofing a document that you write. You can't proof your own work because you're already infusing the outcome that you think you're seeing on that page. And although that's a very, just de minimis way of saying it, it really is what happens is you can't coach yourself. I can't coach myself. And I have the same moments where I'm calling up my coach. I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know, and they're like, snap out of it. What is wrong with you? It's like, I'm like, well, no, it's real important because and I liken it to swimming in a pool. When you're doing life, you're working in your business or doing life, you're treading water. And we're on the coping, like coaches and what do they call them? Lifeguards. We're like the lifeguard on the coping, and we're looking in, and we can see shark in front, other things coming from behind. We can see all that. It's easier because we're also not emotionally attached to the outcome. You were talking before about overwhelmed, having that overwhelmed. You were talking about stress as well. And the stress, I look at stress more as fear than stress. Stress is just a different word for fear because we're stressing out. We're fearful of what the outcome is. We're fearful of what's going to happen. We're already being catastrophic instead of choosing to be catastrophic, which is positive. So that is a beautiful way to look at it and to work with people so that they can live a vibrant life. So the stress affects our life. It affects our choices, right? How do we overcome the painfulness and the pains we've had in our past? How do we overcome that? Like I was saying before, we pivot, right? We have these choices to make that we can change those things. But how do you suggest we do that?
Well, it isn't always as easy when there's trauma to simply pivot, but it still is a choice to be able to seek the resources that are available. For anyone who's followed me, you